My intuition is that the waste, fraud, and abuse is probably meaningfully more significant than we think. When we were there, we heard about one consulting firm, 95 plus of all of their revenue, multi-billion-dollar revenue, comes from time and materials contracts with the United States government. We heard throughout the week, I reposted it on X, $65 billion is paid out to consulting organizations beyond just that one in these time and materials cost plus contracts. If you start to add all of these up, today we just heard that the $2 billion grift to Stacey Abrams was canceled, and they're now starting a DOJ investigation into how those dollars got given to her. All of these things start to add up. It may be the case that if there's an upper bound on tariffs, there will be more than $1 trillion. And Elon kind of fills in the gap, but I think it's possible.
They are looking, Gavin, also at military spending and maybe cutting that 8% a year every year for a couple of years. That's where big dollars are sitting. And obviously nobody wants to touch Social Security, despite, I do have to point this out for my besties. You guys did a great job with that interview. And, I just want to say FTMZ for like trying to spin it as, Lutnick was trying to take away people's Social Security. They literally took an hour-plus interview. They clipped it to try to make it seem like he was saying the opposite of what he said. He was saying the fraudsters will be the first to respond, not my mom. My mom would just, call eventually and say, hey, can I...
She would assume that there was good intentions.
Yes. Whereas the fraudsters would be like, oh man, I got to get here.
I think it's great.
And you know what?
You can
Kara
use this...
Swisher did the same thing. No, let me finish my little thing here, Chamath, because I don't want you guys to have to defend yourself. Listen, I couldn't make it. You guys did these last minute interviews. Mazel tov.
We missed you.
Thank you for saying that. I would have loved to be there. I will be at the next ones for people who are saying like, oh, there's some conspiracy. There's no conspiracy. I had ski week. These guys went to do business or whatever they were doing and see their friends in DC. And, these things happened very rapidly and I wasn't able to get there. Bottom line, these were great, substantive, long interviews from Democrats. One of them, a gay Democrat, by the way, the highest ranking gay Democrat who's ever been in an administration. The left and the media should be giving praise to these interviews. They should be studying them, and they're doing the exact opposite. They're trying to spin them into something they weren't. It's a gift what the All-In podcast did to the American people by showing them a long-form interview with the administration explaining these details. Don't spin it.
I think it's great.
I'm sorry, I'm pissed off about it. It pissed me off.
I don't think you should be pissed off. I think it's wonderful that these people lie. I think it's incredible that they just put it out there. And it just further erodes what's happening. I think if once Bobby puts a nail in the coffin of pharma ads on TV.
Bye-bye Anderson Cooper.
Bye-bye all these guys. Yeah, I think it's great.
I'm so pissed off. I'm sorry. Like when I see people lie like that.
They should be lying. They should be lying. It's great. Because they will not exist.
Okay, Gavin, you're a neutral third party. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say 3 really quick points. Like first, what Howard Lutnick literally said was if we can find a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse, we don't have to raise the retirement age. Everybody's talking about raising the retirement age to 70.
Yes.
If we administer these programs more efficiently, we can keep it at 65. And, that's good for everyone. The second thing is it's just interesting to me. There's so much doubt about this when the inspector generals of, both Biden and Obama, said there were hundreds of billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. And I would just say someone in my immediate family has had their Social Security, their identity stolen, and someone is using their Social Security number to collect unemployment benefits in Alabama. And this has been going on for 2 years, and they've been unable to stop it. And so, you don't want to rely too much on anecdote, but I think this is really happening. And then just the third thing I would just say is I do think, no president has ever raised my taxes more than Trump did. And I think they are pretty convicted in their focus on normal working class Americans and making their lives better is actually genuinely their North Star. You can disagree with the theory of the case. You can disagree with, the way they're communicating it, but I think their intentions are good.
Absolutely. And you know what? He even said in the interview, if you really listen to it, he said he was disgusted by the idea that you would even raise the Social Security age. I think we should, by the way. Any rational person, I think the majority of people say, hey, maybe it should go up a year or two. Maybe we should have a little austerity here on the margins. But no, of course not. We can't talk about that. And The thing this administration could do better is communication. Those 2 long-form interviews was a great step in the right direction. They should do more of those. And DOE should do a better job of explaining this waste and fraud. They're doing a good job. I give them a B+, but there's more work to be done here. And there's waste, there's overspending, there's fraud, and there's abuse, right? These are like different categories. To get to the fraud, that takes building legal cases. All that stuff's going to have to be referred to people. We have a justice system here. It's going to take years to figure out if somebody actually stole. But waste and overspending, we're going to find that pretty quickly. So it's a process, people. And I, for one, trust the process because we're overspending massively. Let's get to some other conversations here. I think maybe we start with...
J-Cal, on Doge, I just think it is, whether it's a semi-annual or quarterly, something that is like the Doge report. And everything's been audited and triple checked. These are the 3 categories. This is what we found. I think something like that would be very helpful.
I think they need investigative journalists. I'm happy to help with this. I'll do a Doge pod. Listen, I'm not part of the administration. Everybody knows I was a never Trumper. I'm independent, blah, blah, blah. Disclaimer. I would totally go in there and I would do a Doge pod.
J-Cal?
Why do you keep saying independent and then you throw yourself a label that says you're not independent, you're dependent?
I'm telling people I was a never Trumper. But if Trump is going to surround himself with the moderate Democrats...
Are you truly independent?
I like to think so. I try to be independent, call balls and strikes here on the program. I'm not going to bend the knee to the administration. I'm going to be critical of Trump coin. I'm going to be critical of these deportations, which we're going to get to. And I will say critical things. But I would go in there and I would do the Doge pod with Elon or whoever in the group is and go point by point through these things to explain it to the American public. Let's keep moving here. We got such a full docket. I want to talk about Signalgate.
Text our bestie and talk to him about it. I think that's a great idea.
Maybe I should go in there. Because listen, I don't even consider this like a Trump administration now. I consider this a Democratic, moderate administration. Everybody around Trump now is a Democrat. I think I might be in. You guys look like you had a good time. You guys look like you had a good time last week. I kind of want to be included. It looked like fun.
Did you vote for Trump?
I don't want to bring in my vote. I did not vote for Kamala. Let's keep moving here. I'm going to keep dropping hints.
Wow. My gosh.
I did not vote for Kamala. I couldn't vote for her. She's I don't want to say it, but anyway, let's keep going. I don't want to vote for somebody who was selected. I wanted to vote for somebody who had a primary. And the Democrats, disgraziad for not having a speed run primary. Signalgate, it's the biggest story in America right now. On Monday,
I think J-Cal's turning. This is incredible. What a day.
No, I'm going to call balls and strikes. Right now, 70% of what they're doing, I agree with. 30% I don't. I'm going to get to the 30% on a human rights basis.
I think you just admitted you voted for Trump. It's really incredible, actually.
Signalgate. On Monday, The Atlantic published a story titled "The Trump Administration Accidentally Texted Me Their War Plans." Somehow, Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg was added to a super high-profile signal group with our Secretary of State, our Vice President, Tulsi Besant, the CIA Director, the Secretary of Defense. How is this possible, folks? They added a journalist, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, to their war planning signal group. They shouldn't be using Signal, obviously, to do this stuff. And inside this group, they discussed the plans to strike Houthi targets across Yemen. Nobody noticed, nobody checked that the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic was in the group chat. They included the exact targets, the actions, the timing of all of this. It was apparently cut and pasted from some other system by Hegseth, our Secretary of Defense and former Fox commentator. That's not a dig. It's just a fact. I'm not saying it as a dig. Chamath, people are losing their mind over this. I could get into all the details. I think most people know it because it's taking up all the oxygen in the room, in the media, in the group chats. Number one, what's your general take on what happened here? How stupid is this? How ridiculous is it? Does it matter? Go ahead, Shimon. To start us off here.
The problem that we have is that somewhere after the war with Gaza, Iran continues to fund these Houthi rebels in Yemen. And what do they start to do? They start to invade and flood into the Red Sea, and they start to block up the Suez Canal in different points, making it very perilous for freight traffic to get there. So what do folks do? They're either forced to go all the way around the Cape of Good Hope or risk attack through the Suez Canal. So what do you think happens? Well, the traffic through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal falls off a cliff. And then you would ask, well, why is that important? Well, the problem is that because of that other chart and this chart, prices start to skyrocket. So if you're trying to ship things, even going into the United States, prices start to rise 30, 40%. Going to Europe, prices are rising 300 and 400%. If you add that all together, as Gavin said earlier, we're in this very delicate moment where we're fixing all these parts of the economy. The thing we can't have is productivity go down. You can't have a recession. And so if you have a bunch of input prices that go up or trade slow down, now you're bringing the likelihood of a recession to the forefront. So that's one thing. The second thing, which was included in the group chat, is it turns out that nobody was in a position to fight off these Houthis except the United States. The British, the French, all of their naval capacity wasn't strong enough or adaptable enough to fight these folks off. So the United States had no choice but to attack these guys and reset. And so what happened? Now all of a sudden, traffic is reset, right? Volumes are back up. By the third week of March, which is where we are now, we're back to where they were even a year ago. Price of shipping is now contained. The inflation risk is contained. The productivity hit is contained. It's just important to understand.
All great.
So
that's the context
so this
why
is what
they
happened.
did the attack. Great.
I find it crazy that we still actually, for 95 articles though, Jason, on Signal, we have only less than one article on this. So I just wanted the smart people to listen to our pod to actually understand it.